Thanks for joining us for today's Northern Ag TV. I'm Colton Young, coming to you from Kansas City at the National Association of Farm Broadcasters Convention, joined here with Dan Halstrom, the CEO and President of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. And Dan, it's been quite the year. We've seen a lot of ups and downs in the market, in the industry as far as imports and exports, but an overall picture, it looks pretty good. Beef slightly down a little, pork slightly up a little bit on our exports. Why don't you kind of recap what we've seen so far here in 2025?
Yeah, so starting with the pork side, we coming off a record year last year, really broad-based growth last year, and we're seeing a lot the same this year. We're close to steady to a year ago. We probably end up the year pretty close to last year's record, led by Latin America, Mexico, Central America, etc. But lately, the last few months, we've really seen Asia start to rebound after a slow start. But if you segue to the beef side's quite a bit more dynamic. So we're down about 10%. Most of that's because of China and the whole situation with, since April, we really haven't had any of our U.S. plants listed for China. It's not a demand problem. Demand is strong, $1.6 billion market last year, and that demand's still there. So if and when they can relist them, and I do think at some point they will, can't tell you when, nobody knows, but we're ready to go when that happens. In the meantime, you look at the rest of the world, demand is not only resilient but record-breaking, and you consider the pricing dynamics the last 6 months, record pricing in the summer. The demand for a lot of these markets for U.S. beef continues, whether it's places like Mexico, Central America, Korea, Japan. So I think that's the real takeaway here, is that demand continues to be resilient. Why? Because of our high quality.
Yeah.
And it's less of a price issue and much more of a demand for the quality issue.
And like you had mentioned, we did see China. We've had some export issues with China over the last several months as far as renewing some of their registration, their licensing, getting the access into their export market. But we have seen several other countries step in and kind of start to fill that role. Is that something you firmly believe we will continue to see as we go on in the next few years?
Yeah, strategically, that's the goal, right? And there's two goals. One is to diversify as much as possible from a market standpoint, just with less eggs in one basket, right? But in a specific case from April of China really going away, we have filled the void. And you look at Japan and Korea, they've really stepped up with certain products. Short plates come to mind, beef tongues come to mind. They've jumped in, and we've seen the rest of the world step up. So that's a positive, and we always are focused on this sort of scenario of trying to continue to protect those larger established markets while at the same time growing and developing the emerging markets. And if you look at some of these recent announcements about framework agreements, there's a couple that stand out that are very interesting. One that's already paying dividends today is Indonesia. We see Indonesia as a $175 million opportunity for U.S. beef annually. And it's not going to happen all at once. It'll take time to ramp up, but we're already seeing the benefits today. So that's very, very exciting. And some other markets, UK is one that stands out, that was announced several months ago. There's still details that's chapter one. Chapter two is the protocols have to be implemented to actually physically do the shipping. That's still being worked on, but it'll come together. It just takes time.
It takes time and a lot of effort, and we've talked and we've heard in the past, and the biggest obstacle is just getting the access to it. And the U.S. Meat Export Federation has, of course, done a great job of getting that access and working hard. What does this mean overall aspect for our producers in our Northern Ag Network territory? Obviously, the cattle industry right now is great. How much of a role does the U.S. Meat Export Federation really play? I mean, the market is there, and it's just sometimes it's hard for us domestic producers to see just how significant that role really is.
Yeah, it's a lot like football. You know, you have a short game, you have a long game. I mean, we can throw the bomb and get the touchdown immediately. Sometimes that happens, but it's more about the short game, the blocking and the tackling. That's what we do. And a lot of it has to do with education. We go in and we tell our story of U.S. beef versus the rest of the world, which deals a lot with the high quality, the grading animals. That is our point of differentiation. It's also about going in and helping on the marketing and promotion side, going in with a retailer like Aeon, the largest retailer in Japan, very good partner of ours, and we do a lot to help them tell our story to the Japan consumer. Those are just small examples, but we have boots on the ground. We have 20 offices around the world, about 105 people outside the U.S. This is all they think about each and every day, is going in and talking about U.S. beef, U.S. pork, and really going in and partnering with these countries. And for the most part, these countries, they welcome it. I mean, they want the help, they want the story, and we have a great story to tell.
Absolutely. We definitely have a great story to tell, and we're going to continue telling that story and advocating. And Dan, we sure appreciate all your efforts in continuing to carry on our exports and keep this business alive.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And that's all the time we have for today's Northern Ag TV. I'm Colton Young. We'll see you next time.